Welcome back for another episode of Inside the Playbook, brought to you by the Sports Playbook, where we'll chat to athletes and go inside their playbook to discover what makes them tick in their sporting environment. In our third episode, we'll go inside the playbook of Amy Sommerville. Amy was a professional netball player who played for the New South Wales Swifts and the Queensland Firebirds. Amy is someone who is resilient and no matter what, always approaches every situation with a smile on her face, a positive attitude, and someone who is calm and composed under pressure, which stands out in a professional sporting setting. That's plenty from me. Please enjoy this podcast chatting to Amy Sommerville, a resilient, positive, and empathetic athlete. Welcome back to Inside the Playbook, brought to you by the Sports Playbook. If you haven't already, please follow us on all social media accounts. Without further ado, let's get right into it. I would love to introduce my next guest on Inside the Playbook. My guest specialises in a high level in netball, and you'll find her in the shooting circle. Amy Sommerville, welcome to the podcast.
No, thank you so much for having me, Daniel. I'm really excited to jump on today, and it's exciting that you're into this space and shining a light on so many different female sports as well, which is awesome.
Thank you, Amy. I really appreciate it, and saw you followed on the socials, so I thought, I have to get you on the podcast, right? It'd be rude not to.
Exactly.
So before we get started, I wanted to throw some quick fire questions to you to kind of give the listeners a little bit of an understanding of who you might be as a person. Sound good?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I think for me, to be able to jump really high, I don't know if that's a superpower, just to be able to explode off the ground, because I was never a jumper. So if I could have added that to anything, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely a superpower. That's for sure. I think I know this one, but dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Yep.
Definitely dogs.
Tomato sauce, in or out of the fridge?
Out of the fridge. Absolutely covered.
Yep, very nice. Music, pop or rap? It could be anything, but just...
I'm going to say country. I
Yeah.
actually don't really have a genre, but country. I'm very much a country person. Maybe country pop. Let's go with that.
Yeah, nice. Love a bit of country pop. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Nice. And lucky last, summer or winter?
Oh, I'm going to say, well, in Brisbane, so it's very hot in summer, but I would probably say summer, but favourite season would be spring.
Yeah, I feel that's a good one. It's a nice transition, isn't it?
Yeah, not too warm, which is perfect temperature.
100%. Well, I feel like I guess I've kind of already gotten to know you from the very get-go, so thank you for that.
That's right. It's all you need to know about me. Nothing else.
Yeah, 100%. Clap. We're off. So I'd love to kind of get to know you, your upbringing, how you kind of got into netball. So what was your upbringing like? Where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
Yeah, so I grew up in Sydney, so I was a Western Sydney girl, a little suburb called Greystanes. So I lived there for, I think, up until I was maybe 17, and then moved over to the northern suburbs, I guess you call it, so Eastwood kind of area. Had an older sister, mum and dad. We, always kind of hung out together. We did watch lots of sport. Pretty much we're always at a netball court, but we were obsessed with watching rugby union. We were very much a sporting family. So that's kind of where I grew up. And then, so all my family was down there. Most of my family have now moved up to Queensland, but all of our family were always hanging out together. I think I was very lucky that our family was quite close. So we always had aunties. My mum's one of 5 girls. So we always had aunties around hanging out. So yeah, very, very lucky with the upbringing I had. And it was so much fun growing up in Sydney, and now being a Queensland girl, it's very different, but I do love it up here.
Yeah, I could imagine. It's like two very different lifestyles. You kind of got like the Sydney lifestyle and the Sydney, New South Wales, and then you got Queensland lifestyle. I feel like they're two quite different things in of themselves.
Yeah, completely different. People always complain about the traffic up in Brisbane, and it's nothing. I'm like, come on. Everywhere's like 15 minutes in Queensland, where I lived like 40 minutes from where I had to be most of the time. So they don't understand that side of it. And I don't miss the traffic for sure.
absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Yes, exactly. They don't know how lucky they've got it. No.
With your upbringing, you kind of touched on it there. You like into netball, but then you were also into rugby union. Did you spend most of your time playing netball, or did you kind of just dabble in any sport that you kind of could?
Yeah, so I was always a netballer. That was kind of my first sport I played, but I did little athletics, water polo, softball, did pretty much all I could when I was younger. Kind of made me, I think, a better, well-rounded person because she had so much more perspective. I played touch footy. I still remember my first try, my first game. I put the ball down on the sideline thinking that was the try line. And then safe to say touch footy was not my sport, but I enjoyed doing as much as I could, really.
Well, someone didn't clearly explain the rules, so it's clearly their problem. It's not a you thing, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I was so proud of myself. So look, I'll take it as a win.
Yeah, 100%. Do you remember the first time that you stepped onto a netball court or started to experience netball? Like, could you talk us through what that feeling was like and if you remember it?
Yeah, I can't remember the first time I stepped on, but I remember one of my first netball coach when I would have been, I think maybe 5, 6. I don't actually know how old I was, but my auntie was my first netball coach. So she always is like, I made you the player I was today. So I only had my auntie for a year, but she was my first netball coach. And I just remember it being so much fun. Like that's all I can pretty much remember of it. And that's, I think, what sparked my joy and wanting to keep playing netball. My sister played netball, or kind of wanted to just be like my older sister because she was really cool back then. She is still really cool now, but she was kind of was like, oh, my sister plays it, I have to play. So I did whatever my sister did.
Yeah, and with your auntie coaching, do you think that that initial excitement was kind of brought up a little bit more because she was coaching? Do you think that kind of helped you get into netball?
Yeah, probably because I was like, oh, it's my auntie. I get to hang out with her an hour a week again, and then she was coaching us on the weekends. She is really small, my auntie, so like she comes probably up to my belly button. She's tiny, so I
Oh,
think,
really?
yeah. Now looking back, I'm like, I was probably so small, and I looked up to my auntie like, wow, she's just like such a tall athlete, like because she was playing at the time as well. But now I
Right.
am a lot taller than her, but yeah, my that auntie as well as my godmother, so to be able to have that connection as well was really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And what position did your auntie play?
She was a mid-court, yeah,
Yeah,
which
got
makes
you.
sense now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
It's so fitting for the for that area. And then when you played netball as a kid, did you move around in positions or did you kind of find that you found your home in the goal shooting circle? Like what was that like for you?
Yeah, I played pretty much all positions when I was growing up until I think so when I was like in that like kind of net set go kind of starting point, don't know what it was called back then, but from there I played a bit of everything, mid-court defense. When I moved association, so I started at one association, then I moved to another association when I was 9, I think. Like, it was pretty early on when I moved across. And in that team, they needed a wing defense. And so I went in, filled that role, played wing defense, did what I had to do. And then, yeah, shuffled around, played some keeper, wing attack. Center wasn't probably anything that I ever really had a good run at, but there's probably a reason for that. I was not a good runner. Um, yeah, so I moved around a bit, but I was always a shooter. Like I knew that was my position, but I was more than happy to fill in where I needed to. Yeah. And shooting is probably, yeah, was always been my home and is where I felt most comfortable.
Yeah, is there any position that you dreaded? Like was there a time where a coach said, "Oh, I've got to chuck you in wing defense or something like that," and you go, "Oh, please no."
Not really. I think I was very much the mindset that I'll play anywhere I'm on the court. So I'm more than happy to go around, run, do what I need to do for what the team needs me. I might not be very good at it, but I'll do what I can in the moment. Yeah, it was always so boring sitting on the sidelines. If they needed someone, I would absolutely take that position.
I feel like you've already just won the coaches award with that answer. I feel like any coach that hears that's like, yeah, perfect. We'll just chuck you into any position that we can fill you in.
Yes. Big teacher's pet? No. No, I think I just loved playing. So any opportunity to get on court, I was like, absolutely. And I think even as I started to get older, I was dabbling. I was always still a shooter, but dabbling in that wing attack role. Didn't have the speed and agility as most wing attacks do, but I could bring a different sense to the game, which I think helped as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there that you changed netball associations like quite early. Did
Yeah.
that have an impact on you at all? Like, was that positive for the better, or was that just uh, due to participation? Like, how did that come about?
So my sister moved associations. So we're at kind of a smaller association when I first started. I then moved over to Eastwood Ride, and my first netball coach, I don't know if you know who it is, was Anita Keelan. So she was my under 10s coach, who
Yeah,
went on to
right.
coach the Swifts, Sandpipers. She's now part of the Netball Australia Pathway program. So it was absolutely the best move I could have done, having a CBT coach as what she was then, but moved into ANZ SSN as a 10-year-old. Game changer.
Yeah,
This knowledge and skills she was able to impart on not only myself but the whole team was so invaluable. And well, I was lucky because her daughter was in the team, so that made a little bit of a difference. So she wanted to give
yeah.
back. But Anita, I have the utmost respect for, because she would always give back to grassroots, no matter if her daughter was in the team or not. So yeah, that move was definitely the best thing for me at the time.
And I feel like you touched on a really good point there, especially with Anita, but I think with a lot of netballers still in the professional circle, they always make a point to always go back to either their grassroots club or to an association. How important do you think it is that professional players heading back into their grassroots like club and imparting that knowledge on the kids and even parents as well?
Yeah, I think having that connection to, especially like an SSM player or someone coming back to your association, it gives kind of hope for the athletes coming through, like, oh, that could be me one day. So from my association now, like Eastwood Ride, where I kind of did all my netball, there's like Kira Austin's from there, Sophie Dwyer, like there's a few now that have come through that pathway. And I don't know if it's because both those girls are so great with their time and giving back as well, that they're like, okay, I want to be like that person. She's just like me. She's from my association. And guess that's like that inspiration for the athletes coming through. And I think, yeah, it's so important to try and get back to all grassroots, because without them, there is no elite competition. So we need those girls continuing following through not only the talent, but to support each week turning up and being a part of I guess, the whole family across SSN.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you just mentioned the three best goal shooters. You got yourself, Kira, you got Sophie as well. I feel like Eastwood Rise just producing a whole lot of great goal shooting people.
Yeah, so Sophie and Kira have obviously done a lot more than me, so which is really exciting. It's so great for Eastwood. But I think Anita, she was from Eastwood Ride as well, so she kind of coached all three of us at some point or had something to do with this. So I guess she can take a little bit of credit for that as well, that she set up the culture at Eastwood to create great athletes.
Yeah, and I was going to say, what is that culture like? Because it probably leans into my next question quite well. Obviously, when you start to get up into, I guess, reps and start to get noticed a bit more, I think culture is a huge part of it, especially when you're a little bit younger. Did you feel like that culture was really good at Eastwood Ride and you were able to feel quite comfortable as you started to head up in the ranks?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess everyone has different experiences, but this was my experience at Eastwood Ride, and I had such a great time there. They set up, I guess, a safe space to grow, and it was also a competitive environment. So at that time, moving to Eastwood, we were such a great association. They still are now, and to get into a rep team, you have to work hard. And I think setting that up to know you have to work hard, but you get success along the way. Yeah, and I think just being able to continue pushing within culture across all associations, it's a really hard thing to, I guess, maintain. But once you've got it, having the right people around to push it forward is really important. And I remember when I was coming through like the junior rank teams, our like Div 1 State League, which would be like your Opens Premier League now, they were always top two grand finalists. And so those athletes setting standards, like kind of filters all the way down. But we had great people in charge, like the presidents, our coaches. I think it was just really great people that all bought into the culture and wanted to make it the best possible experience for athletes, whether that's having fun, pushing to be like the next SSM player. They just helped you through your goals no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. And when did you start to feel like from your end that you were kind of getting noticed from, I guess, going to like a rep level or a little bit higher in netball? When did you start to feel like that presence was kind of around you at that point?
I think so. I went to a sporting school. I went to Westfield Sports High School. So once I transitioned into that school, you kind of start to think, okay, now what's next? But from like junior reps, 12s, 13s, I was just kind of playing netball because I was like, oh, I get to go to state age, play heaps of netball. Let's go do this kind of thing. But I don't know if there was ever a point where I was like, I want to go be a professional netballer. I was just loving netball, turning up, trialing. I was like, oh, cool. Okay. I got into this team, but probably 15s, I think, when I made my first state age team. So I was bottom age 17s at the time. I was like, okay, I'm in a national team. This is actually insane that I get to be a part of this and train every week. And just for the love of netball, I was like, this is so cool. I get to be challenged by some of the best netballers for my age group, and most of those have now gone on SSN, played for Australia. So to be able to constantly be challenged to be the best you can be, I think was something that was always a driving force for me. But yeah, I don't know if I ever realized, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is my time. But I just, yeah, kept turning up, trialing, and I was like, okay, I kept getting picked, which I think was, yeah, really, really cool experiences that I got from all those national campaigns.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there that quite a few of those players have gone on to play SSN like yourself and in those professional teams. Could you kind of give the listeners a bit of an understanding as to who were in those circles at the time?
Yeah, so I think my first state team would have been, sorry, like Paige Hadley, Kim Revalian was a part of it, Gabby Simpson, trying to think who else from that age group. They were the main ones from that age group, and the ones that are still kind of playing and playing their trade. As you got like those are the days with national campaigns. You could play both 19s and 21s in the same age group. So I had like Abby McCulloch, April Brandley, like had some really Verity Simmons. There's so many athletes around that I had great people around me to, I guess, show me the way. But the fact they're all still playing now is a testament to how talented they were.
And in these like big representative tournaments, how I guess duration wise, like how long are these tournaments going on for? Are they week long tournaments? Like how many games of netball would you be playing on average during a week or a weekend, for example?
Yeah, so it's a week-long tournament. You play every state and territory once you're down there. How many is that? Doing quick math.
Yeah.
So yeah, just play every game. Plus, you have a final. If you make top four, you'll play a semi and then a grand final. And same with, I think, 5 to 8, you'll play off for the another 2 games. There's quite a few games across the whole tournament. 21s actually played 60-minute games, so it's that extra load as well, where your 19 and unders play 40-minute games. So that makes a bit of a difference. But yeah, to be experienced that, especially I played 21s as a bottom age 19 athlete, just to experience that up against some of the best talent at the time was, yeah, incredible.
I was going to say, did you feel like when you were playing it in the like bottom of the age for 21s, did you ever feel intimidated when you were out on the court, or did you feel like you could hold your own and then go, no, I've got this. I feel comfortable.
I think it was a bit of naivety. I was like, oh, I'm bottom age 19s, no expectations, right? Just rock up, play some netball. And I think I actually remember that tournament was probably one of my best tournaments I've ever played. And at the end, I think they pick like a top 7, and I got all-star goal attack for that tournament, which was shocking as a bottom age 19 athlete. I was like, oh, I was just so happy to be here. So I think that did help. But as you get older, that kind of self-doubt did creep in a little bit. But for that bottom age tournament, I was just, yeah, really lucky. And we went on to win, which is even nicer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I think you touched on a really good point there. Like I feel like when you're younger, you feel like not a sense of invincibility, but you feel like you can push yourself a little bit further and uh, in those high pressure situations feel a bit more comfortable. But when you get a little bit older, sometimes self doubt can creep in, or there's external noise that comes with it. From your side, did you feel like it came down to a certain thing, or is it just a whole series of, I guess, factors around you that make you feel that kind of way?
Yeah, I think for when I was like that bottom age 19 athlete, I was World Youth Cup age. So we were like that age group coming through to they're the next ones to go to World Youth Cup. So that was in Glasgow. that's when in the back of my mind it started like, okay, that's the team I really, really want to make, because there's been so much lead up to it, and like that was the end goal. And then I think the year later I did my ACL. So that didn't help much in the preparation for World Youth Cup. And that's when the self-doubt started to really creep in. Because I was like, oh, I've been working to get to this World Youth Cup team. My career's over kind of thing. And on return, it was quite a challenging return to play. And then it's kind of that, am I ever going to be like I was, or can I play as good as I was playing before my knee? So that was probably the catalyst for lots of the self-doubt that came in. And I was really lucky when I was 15. I think I was a student. I didn't deal with pressure very well, so I got so nervous. So mum took me to a sports psych, and I had those tools at the start, but then dealing with an injury, and once you're so close to reaching a goal, I think adds that extra element of, yeah, challenges to get back from.
Like, I'm sorry to hear that about the ACL as well, because
That's
it's
right.
I feel like it's a really interesting thing. Like, especially you see a lot of athletes go through those types of injuries, like an Achilles and an ACL, and you're away from it for minimum 9 months, but you could be like a 12 months, a 15 months recovery. How did you deal with that, and how did you go about your path back to netball post that injury? How did you kind of get back into it?
Yeah, so I guess a positive for me, I was living at the AIS when I did my knee. So I was at the AIS, they had rehab on hand. I had everything I could possibly need to get back to where I was. I unfortunately had a few complications with the surgery, so it took a little bit longer, and I probably still haven't got fully recovered from that, even though it's been 12 years on, which is sad, but that was the reality. So I managed to get back as best as I could, knowing that I would still have these issues moving forward. And I think, yeah, so being down at AIS was so great, but you were living with other netballers who are off going. There was a Trinidad and Tobago tour, so got to go and do that while I was just sitting in Canberra on my own. So that was challenging. I made some really great friends and connections while I was still down there, but yeah, I think the hardest thing was going off and seeing all your friends going on to achieve such great things, and there's no spite involved. But it's like, oh, I just want to be there with them, because yeah, it looks like so much fun, and all those athletes getting ANZ contracts, and knowing that I was injured because then I couldn't actually get a contract because I couldn't play. Yeah.
Like, these players are now starting to get SSN contracts. They're starting to get noticed by those professional teams. When when did that kind of start to become part of the conversation for you? So some of these players are going
Yeah.
on come to fruition.
Yeah. So I think so those that kind of happened, like some of the friends that are still playing now, they were about 19, I think, when they were starting to get their first contracts. So ANZ, there was 12 players that were allowed to be a part of the team. So there was always a few more spots up for grabs, which was nice. And then I guess for me, so I moved back home after, I think I did about nearly 2 years at the AIS, moved back home, and then just went back into playing state league, and for Eastwood Rides, went back into that program, into the ANL program, trying to just get my match fitness back. Because I remember my first kind of game back was for the World Youth Cup trials, and I was so bad. Like, I was so bad, so unfit. I knew I wasn't going to make it, but there was a few of us that we still got to go over to Glasgow as training partners. So I was so lucky I had that experience. But I think that time was when everyone was like, hey, we're in ANZ. And so a few years had passed for me. And then I think I was a bit of a late bloomer. I think my first contract, I think I was 23, 24, kind of when my first contract happened. So there was so many moments where I was like, okay, it's never going to happen. I'm just going to give up. Why do I keep turning up each week to achieve that? So yeah, I was very lucky that that did finally come for me, and that phone call did happen.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'd love to know more about that phone call, because I feel like from your point of view, you've worked so hard, especially from like a junior's point of view. Then you come up through the teenage years, and then to either receive that phone call, had that chat in person. What was that moment like to hear that you're going to become a professional athlete and you're under contract?
Yeah, so it was actually like my last year. I remember saying to my sister, like, this is my last year. I'm gonna give it a crack. Otherwise, I'm just gonna like play for fun, move on to other things in life. But I'd actually got offered a contract from a UK team. I was about to sign it, and then I got the call from Rob Wright at the time. I'd missed it initially because I was at work, and then driving home, I called him back, and then he asked if I wanted to be part of the Swifts. I think For quite some time I didn't believe it at all because I was like, oh, it must be a bit weird. Are you sure about this? Like, I'm just like, I'm an older person, knowing that most of the time they were a bit younger when they were coming through. But yeah, I was so excited to receive that call, and knowing that being a Sydney person playing for the Swifts was always kind of, that's what you wanted to do and be a part of. So, and that team that year had some incredible athletes like Shani Layton, Laura Langman, Katie Thwaite, Susan Prattley. Like, the team was stacked. And I think to be able to go into that program as my first contract was incredible. I learned so much about myself as an athlete and as a person. And I take a lot of those learnings now that I learned from that year.
And what year did you get your first professional contract, just for context?
So, yeah, so my first contract was, so it's 2016 year. That was the last year of ANZ Championship.
What
Yeah.
what was so like I've only known netball from like the super netball phase. Like I've only recently become quite a fan of it. What was that kind of period like 2016, 2017, like the transition from ANZ into super netball? Did you notice an impact in around the playing group?
A bit of both. So you also have the Giants come in. So we had the two Sydney teams. So there was always going to be movement. And I think that's sometimes really exciting as well for people watching, like, oh, where are people going to end up now? So I guess that gave you more opportunity for a team. But knowing that the teams were cut down to 10, it was always such a stressful time signing for me because I wasn't a big name. I wasn't a starting player. So waiting for that phone call was really stressful. But yeah, I think the transition for me, I was pretty lucky that I was still offered a contract in the SSN for that year. And yeah, knowing that it goes down to 10 players was probably the hardest thing. And I think most athletes will tell you the signing time is very stressful because you're like, okay, where am I sitting? Where do I, hoping that you to get that call? And yeah, so I think, but with the transition for me, I was very lucky to still get offered a contract, and knowing that I was able to still stay with the Swifts for another year and they had the faith in me to go again was nice.
It's a huge thing as an athlete, like feeling like your team backs you and gives you the faith. And that's often given by a professional contract saying, like, we believe in you, here's the deal. When that signing window that you talk about, or players getting signed up to teams, is it a certain time of year? Is it all happening at one moment, or is it kind of scattered throughout the year and players at that time were able to sign to various teams?
Yeah, so there was a couple of months, I think, where you could start re-sign with your own club, and then they open up the signing window so all clubs can then get in contact if they wanted you or not. So that's when it can reopen. But I think from, if I remember clearly, your club has first right, I guess, to re-sign you. And sometimes they might say that we don't have a position for you right now, but we're going to wait as well to the signing window open. So that you are kind of in limbo waiting, okay, do they want to sign someone else? What if they say no? And then, yeah, so that kind of adds into the stress as well.
When you got signed up in 2017, was that as a like a professional player, or was that under like a training partner deal?
I was part of the 10 for that year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So being
And
able to be
that's
in that 10 was awesome.
yeah, 100%. And correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you go into 2017, the first year of SSN, and that's when you debut for the Swifts?
No, I
What
debuted in 2016. I
2016.
didn't
Could
play much, but I debuted.
yeah, could you chat to us more about that and what your debut was
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, it was actually round one. I was pretty confident I wasn't getting on the court because I think there was maybe like 3 minutes left, and Steph Wood had hurt her back. And then I think I was the next one on because Prattley and Thwaites were there as well. And they're like, okay, Amy, you're on. We won the game. I still remember I went on, it was a penalty pass or shot because Steph had to come off.
Right.
Pratt's handed me the ball to take the shot and I missed. And I was like, oh my gosh, just missed my first shot. I finished the game 0 for 1, which was such a great stat to have. Go me! But I think, yeah, to be able to have that experience, get on there just for 3 minutes was, I guess, a nice little welcome to. I think it was against Jiva Mentor too, so having that kind of a big name was, yeah, pretty cool to come up against for 3 minutes.
I was yeah, I was gonna say, for your debut, did you have family and friends that had an inkling that you might be able to get on the court? Like, were they there for that moment?
I had all my family were there. My auntie was there. My first netball coach, she was there as well. I think they would just come to netball no matter what. They're like, hey, free tickets will come along. So they were absolutely excited. They would come to all the games. They would fly interstate. And I think sometimes they used me as an excuse to go on holidays. So they would always fly in and come out around to games, which was nice to have them in the crowd.
Yeah, and what was that moment after the game? So you've had your 3 minutes right at the end of the game. The game finishes. What was that moment like going back to your family and knowing that you've just made your debut for the New South Wales Swifts?
Yeah, I think they're obviously so proud of me because they ride the highs and lows with you, especially coming from injuries, living away from home for a few years. They drive you to everything, pay for everything as you are growing up. So I guess for them, it's reward for them as well because they've done the hard yards. So to see they kind of, especially being a shooter, your parents live through every shot that you take. And so usually mums can't watch the first one. If the first one goes in, she's like, okay, she's fine. So probably me missing that first shot, she was panicking, sweating, but no, she was so proud of me. She like they're still both so proud of everything that I do. And yeah, I think they love it. My family are big netty nerds, so to have them around is great.
That is part A of the Amy Sommerville podcast. We'll be back with part B very soon, so stay tuned for Amy's part B.